Venice, the floating city, an enchanting masterpiece of human ingenuity. But have you ever wondered why Venice is built over water? Why construct a city in the middle of a lagoon, with canals instead of streets? Today, we'll dive into the history and mystery of Venice's unique origins and explore how this architectural marvel came to be. The origin story. Venice's story begins over 1,500 years ago, in a time of upheaval and invasion. Around the 5th century AD, as the Western Roman Empire began to crumble, the Italian mainland was under constant threat from barbarian invaders like the Huns and Lombards. The residents of nearby regions, such as Aquileia and Padua, were desperate to escape these raids. They found an unlikely sanctuary in the Venetian lagoon, a marshy, inhospitable place consisting of small islands and muddy flats surrounded by water. The early settlers fled to these islands for protection, as the treacherous terrain was difficult for invaders to navigate. Little did they know that they were laying the foundation for one of the most remarkable cities in the world. Strategic location and natural defenses. Venice's unique geography provided a natural defense system. The islands were protected by a series of shifting sandbanks and tidal waters, making it nearly impossible for hostile forces to launch a coordinated attack. The shallow lagoon itself acted as a natural moat, offering safety to the inhabitants. Despite the harsh living conditions, swampy, humid, and prone to flooding, these early Venetians adapted quickly. The lagoon, once seen as an obstacle, soon became Venice's greatest asset, engineering the city on water. So, how did the Venetians manage to build an entire city on water? The answer lies in a groundbreaking engineering technique that involved driving wooden piles deep into the soft mud of the lagoon floor. These piles were made from alder trees, a type of wood that's incredibly resistant to water damage. Over time, the wood submerged in water became petrified, turning almost as hard as stone. The piles provided a sturdy foundation for the stone buildings and structures that would rise above them. Venice wasn't built overnight. It was a slow, methodical process, requiring precise planning and incredible resilience. One by one, Venice's iconic buildings were constructed, rising from the water like a mirage. The city we see today is the result of centuries of innovation, hard work, and a unique relationship with nature. The importance of trade. But why build an entire city in such a difficult location? The answer lies in trade. By the 9th century, Venice had become a major maritime power. Its position in the lagoon, strategically located between the east and west, allowed Venetians to control trade routes across the Mediterranean and beyond. Venetian merchants dealt in spices, silk, and precious metals, becoming incredibly wealthy in the process. The lagoon protected their goods from pirates and rivals, while the city's fleet of ships ensured Venice maintained control over its trade routes. The shipbuilding industry flourished, and Venice's fleet became one of the most powerful in Europe. In fact, Venice's naval dominance lasted for centuries, allowing the city to thrive economically, even as its population grew. The role of religion and symbolism. Venice's connection to water wasn't just practical. It also had a symbolic and religious significance. The Venetians believed that Street Mark the Evangelist was their patron saint, and they saw their city as a new kind of promised land, chosen and protected by divine forces. The water surrounding the city symbolized purity and protection, further strengthening the city's identity as a sacred space. The iconic symbol of Venice, the winged lion of Street Mark, can still be seen across the city today, a reminder of its spiritual and cultural heritage. Adapting to the environment. Living on water came with its challenges, and Venetians had to constantly adapt to the forces of nature. The city is famous for its seasonal flooding, known as acqua alta, when high tides cause the lagoon waters to spill over into the streets. Throughout history, Venetians have developed innovative ways to cope with these challenges, from building elevated walkways to installing pumps that help manage the water levels. In recent years, Venice has been working on the Mossi project, a series of flood barriers designed to protect the city from rising sea levels. Venice's ability to live in harmony with the water, rather than fight against it, is a testament to the resilience and creativity of its people. Venice today, a city in peril. Venice faces significant challenges today, many of which threaten its survival as a unique cultural and historical city. These problems are largely environmental, economic, and social in nature, with growing concerns about the city's ability to sustain itself in the coming decades. Here are some of the major issues Venice is currently facing. 1. Rising sea levels and flooding. Acqua alta. One of the most pressing problems for Venice is the increasing frequency and severity of flooding, known as acqua alta, high water. Historically, Venice experiences seasonal flooding, but due to climate change, the situation has worsened. Rising sea levels. Global warming is causing the polar ice caps to melt, which contributes to rising sea levels worldwide. Venice, being built on low-lying islands in the middle of a lagoon, is especially vulnerable. The city is already sinking slowly, but the rising seas are accelerating this process. More frequent and intense floods. In recent years, Venice has seen some of its worst floods in recorded history, including the catastrophic flooding in November 2019, when nearly 85% of the city was submerged. These floods damage buildings, homes, and the city's infrastructure, putting its cultural heritage at risk. MOSE project. To combat flooding, Venice has been working on the MOSE project, Modulo Sperimentale Elettromeccanico, a system of movable flood barriers designed to protect the lagoon from high tides. However, the project has faced delays, cost overruns, and criticisms about its long-term effectiveness. While it has successfully protected Venice during some high tides, since becoming operational in 2020, there are concerns about how well it can cope with rising sea levels over time. 2. Tourism overload. Venice's popularity as a top tourist destination brings economic benefits, but also significant challenges. Overcrowding. On busy days, tourists far outnumber Venice's 50,000 residents, straining the city's infrastructure and overcrowding key sites like Street Market Square. Impact on locals. Venice's population has plummeted from over 170,000 in the 1950s to fewer than 50,000 today. Tourism has driven up housing costs, turning homes into short-term rentals and pushing locals out, with limited job opportunities outside of tourism, especially as traditional industries decline, and challenging living conditions due to frequent flooding and overcrowding. Many residents, especially young people, are leaving. As a result, Venice risks becoming more of a tourist theme park than a living city. Environmental damage. Cruise ships cause erosion and pollution, damaging Venice's foundations and canals. In 2021, the Italian government banned large cruise ships from entering the lagoon, but it remains a debated issue. 3. Erosion and sinking. Venice has been sinking for centuries due to natural subsidence, where the soft ground compresses under the city's weight. Human activities worsen this. Groundwater pumping. In the 20th century, groundwater extraction sped up the sinking until it was stopped in the 1960s, though damage remains. Lagoon disruption. Large projects like the MOSE barriers and industrial developments have altered the lagoon's natural flow, accelerating erosion of the protective salt marshes and sandbanks. 5. Cultural and heritage loss. Venice's rich cultural heritage, including ancient buildings and priceless art, is at risk due to flooding. Constant water exposure damages historic structures, mosaics, and artworks, with landmarks like Street Market Basilica particularly vulnerable. Mass tourism. Heavy tourist traffic wears down fragile sites, potentially causing irreversible damage if left unchecked. 6. Environmental challenges. Venice also faces environmental threats. Water pollution. Increased boat traffic and large ships pollute the canals, harming water quality. Ecosystem disruption. Human activities like overfishing and dredging have disrupted the lagoon's ecosystem, leading to erosion and habitat loss. Venice was born from necessity, a sanctuary for those seeking refuge from a turbulent world. But over the centuries, it has evolved into something much greater, a symbol of human ingenuity, resilience, and beauty. The water that once protected Venice now threatens its future, but the story of this remarkable city is far from over. As we gaze upon the canals and marvel at the architectural wonders rising from the lagoon, we're reminded that Venice is not just a city. It's a living testament to the power of human perseverance. Let's hope that, like its past, Venice's future continues to rise above the waves. If you enjoyed this deep dive into Venice's unique history, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of our future explorations into the world's most fascinating places. And let us know in the comments, what do you think Venice's future holds? Should more be done to protect this incredible city? We'd love to hear your thoughts. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video as we uncover more captivating stories from around the globe.